Good afternoon. Myself, AZIZ, will be presenting this paper. Our study is on blockchain-based application for an energy community on collective self-consumption. So this will be the structure of the presentation I will follow throughout my presentation. Just a bit background, like European Strategy Energy Technology Plan has put the energy end user at the core of the future energy system. And that means actually a more active role for the passive customer in the future. And energy community can play a very pivotal role for this future energy transition. But currently in Ireland, the energy community is at very nascent stage, and they need to integrate many of the new energy activities. So collective self-consumption is one of the emerging approach for this energy community to integrate some of the energy activities. So actually collective self-consumption is not defined in the European Energy Directives explicitly, rather it is referred as jointly acting renewable self-consumers, where a number of consumers acted alone to perform an energy activity, and it can be many things. And our study would be focused actually primarily on economic savings model, on different regulatory arrangements found in the EU member states. So economic savings in the regulatory arrangement of the EU member states are actually are transmitted through several key components. Network tariff, taxes and surcharges can be exempted on the shared energy through the collective self-consumption mechanism, and also government provides some kinds of incentives for the shared energy through the collective self-consumption. So those are the components for the economic savings. And the paper also enumerates some of the key components for different member states. I won't go into the deep. And one of the important factor is the proximity criteria in the regulatory framework for this collective self-consumption. So this is defined by sometimes grid periphery or geographical distance, or both sometimes. So our test scenario is located on the southwest of the island, on Dingle Peninsula, where we have 20 residential customers sharing a renewable solar PV facilities of aggregated capacity of 22 kilowatt hour peak. And they are sharing the energy through collective self-consumption. And all the measurements are done in the hourly granularity. For the pilot site, we demonstrated one of the community energy platform developed by our partner. It's a proprietary software developed by FlexiDAO, our partner, which utilizes the blockchain mechanism for the energy community. It is capable of connecting different types of energy producers with the energy customers, and it has a nice user interface as well, where you can see the real-time traceability of energy, and also different output metrics like economic savings, emission of the carbon dioxide avoidance, this sort of stuff. So in the background of this interface, there are several things going on, like in a simplified way, like the real-time energy measurements, they are recorded in the blockchain. Then you have, for each of the assets, you have the digital twin representing it, and you have a smart contract which are using to manage the assets and the contractual relationship of the stakeholders. One of the key components is the matching algorithm in the software. For our case, we have considered the software executes a real-time matching of generation and the consumption. So it means for each consumption, each hour, the consumption is matched with each hour's generation, and then it is recorded in the blockchain. And for our study, we have the consumers, all the consumers having the same priority to share the energy, to receive the energy from the renewable facilities. And the matching algorithm also ensures the proximity criteria is that the consumers are located under the same medium voltage, low voltage substation. Ironically, my previous speaker also used the Italian regulatory framework, economic savings model. I'm also using it. The reason is that Ireland doesn't have still any regulatory framework on energy community. So it is still in the consultation stage. So that's why we found that the Italian economic saving model is very much explicitly mentioned in the literature, and we are using that. So the total economic savings, so the economic savings model on the Italian case, it is based on the refund mechanism. So you have 3 ways of refunding based on the shared energy of the collective self-consumption. The first part, the first term, is actually refund of the network tariff, transmission network tariff. And the second one is the cost of the associated network loss. And then the third one is the additional incentive that's being provided by the government. So this is how the economic savings is calculated. We were using the formulation from the Italian case, but the parameters are from Ireland, like the different parameters there. And then you have a refund for the energy community, and you distributed the economic savings. We considered for our study distribution of the economic savings based on the local energy coverage of each EC members proportional to the shared energy in the community. So the simulation results, it finds out that from the mid-spring to the mid-autumn, the self-sufficiency is high, and this is the higher self-sufficiency is due to actually the low demand and high generation at that moment. And since our renewable facility is only solar PV, so it is really strongly correlated with the seasonality. So one of the interesting factor what I was referring to is a matching algorithm, and since this matching algorithm is done on the real-time basis, so that means the matching algorithm encourages simultaneous consumption at the moment of the solar PV generation. So in the top figure, you can see these are the monthly consumption of the EC energy community members throughout the year. There are some consumers who are having high demand, but that is not necessarily in the bottom figure refers to the local energy coverage. So those customers who are having high demand does not necessarily have higher renewable energy coverage. This is because of the time dimension. So your demand has to be matched and accordingly. So the time dimension of the matching algorithm is very important in this, we found out. And it actually helps the local balancing and helps the grid operator as well. The economic savings model, economic savings we found out for the energy community is actually driven out by the shared energy. So higher shared energy refers to the higher economic savings for the energy community. So that's why we can see that from the mid-spring to mid-autumn, there are higher economic savings because the self-sufficiency of shared energy is high there. And when you transfer to the right curve for the individual EC members, you see that higher economic savings are for those individuals who are having higher renewable energy consumption. And since I was saying that our generation is net zero generation, like solar PV, it doesn't have any carbon dioxide emission. That's why this shared energy through collective self-consumption is reducing the carbon dioxide as well. In the bottom figure, we see the avoidance of the carbon dioxide emission in the red box. So the paper focused on a blockchain-based community energy management platform to implement the collective self-consumption, and it is demonstrated in an Irish community, an Irish energy community. we found out the time dimension of the matching algorithm is very significant, and which is reflected in the local renewable energy coverage of individual EC members, and subsequently it is reflected in the economic savings and the carbon dioxide emission. And our future work is not to restrict in this economic model. We will test the other regulatory framework economic saving model in the across the EU member states. And since we found the time matching algorithm is time dimension is very critical, we will also study the techno-economic feasibility of behind the meter or community scale storage in our study. So that's for my presentation, and I welcome any questions. Thanks for listening.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Aziz. Any questions? Please, sir.
The matching algorithm, it's basically acting like a local market or reconciliator on the market.
I won't say market, since there is a sharing is happening. There is no kind of like bidding, settlement, those sort of stuff. But it's just the matching algorithm ensures that for each hour, when we get the smart meter readings for different like 20 consumers and the solar PV, it is distributed throughout the consumers in an equal percentage share. Yeah. So, but it ensures that all the measurements are for the same block, time block. Though the economic savings itself is presented on a monthly basis, but for each hour we are having the matching algorithm separate.
You spoke about a community of 20.
Yeah.
Are those 20 houses?
20 residential
Houses.
customers.
And
Yeah.
then you spoke about an installed peak of 22 kilowatt peak.
That's a
Is that simulated or
that's
is
a
it?
no. That's a community PV facility of 22 kilowatt hour peak. So you have a
I'm not
community
familiar with these things in Malta, but it means you've got one common 22 kilowatt which is shared.
Yes. Like 22 kilowatt hour renewable facility is shared. The generation is shared among the 20 residential customers.
Because I see it a little bit low for 20 houses. How was this? It's not you who did it, but how do they estimate this power?
Estimate that those measurements are from the smart.
No, the 22 kilowatt peak, whoever installed it.
Oh,
That would have been good maybe for about 8 houses, especially in Ireland condition where you don't have the sun that we have in Malta. So it looks like it's been under calculated. I was wondering how they come up with that value.
the pilot site was there. We were just collecting the data. So that's a good point, right?
That's actually my question. Yes, thank you. That was actually my question as well. And
So that's why it was the self-sufficiency was only 20-35% within this
Makes sense.
mid spring to mid autumn. Sorry.
yes, you have mentioned about future work that you will consider storage as well. My question is, since this method encourages real-time consumption and the amount of kilowatts that your system, your PV system has, is reasonably low, I'm wondering whether you have considered whether you're thinking of a similar strategy with regards to the installation of the or let's say the storage, assuming it's batteries, whether it will be also collective or whether you will allow each house to benefit individually from their own savings if they have individual storage.
That's a good question. Like we just received those data. We are now doing the calculation for our SME, FlexiDAO, who actually developed that platform. Then we are actually seeing like would be the benefit to put the storage there. So that is under discussion. We are doing the study for them, for them selling this platform to the energy community and whether it's viable for them as well. So it was kind of a bit practical study, but there is lots of things that can be changed to understand. So one of the things is definitely use the innovation.
Okay, any more questions? No? Thank you very much, sir.